وصفي من خلقه وخليل بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله به الأمة وجاهد في سبيل ربه حتى أتاه اليقين. اللهم اجزه عنا وعن والدينا وعن الإسلام والمسلمين خير ما جازيت به نبيا عن قومه ورسولا عن أمته. اللهم احنا على سنته وتوفنا عن ملته وأولئنا حوضه واسقنا بيده الشريفة شربة هنيئة لا نضمأ بعدها أبدا. ثم أما بعد, my dear respected brothers and sisters, we're talking today about the moral tension in Islam. The ethical discourse, scholars and philosophers and ulama talked about this concept of moral tension. Sometimes we not only have to choose between what's good and what's evil, but sometimes it's clear, but sometimes we have to make a choice between what's good and what's better, and what's bad and what's worse. Sometimes we have to choose between two values, good values like mercy and justice. As situations change, then we ought to always try to find the most moral decision to make in this particular situation based on the circumstances. Sometimes we have multiple duties and we have to prioritize. Cannot do all of them, which one that comes in the top. And sometimes we are afraid that we may have neglected our duties towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or our family, or our community, or even ourselves. So, for example, I'm not talking about legal aspect here. A doctor may value truthfulness, telling the patient, his patient, what it is exactly, and or being more be more compassionate and afraid that he may cause emotional damage to his patient. So maybe he can tell someone, his family, but not him directly. Again, I'm not a lawyer. Doctors know what to do. But in some countries, you have to make a choice. You are choosing between being truthful and being compassionate. And sometimes a judge actually may see a case. If he applies the law, the letter of the law, in this case, the defendant should be punished painfully by applying the law. That's justice, or justice, right? But sometimes the judge may actually see the spirit of the law and the particular nuances in this particular case. So instead of giving him the maximum punishment, he will give him a much less punishment because of knowing the circumstances. So again, we have mercy and justice. And sometimes we are in a position when we have to testify, perhaps against our friend, our family member, and this testimony is not going to please him. So should we keep our kinship, friendship intact by not saying the truth, or say the truth and lose this connection? Sometimes we have to make this choice all the time. We have to choose. And we must choose the right choice. And sometimes we actually have to also consider our intention. Why are we doing this? Is it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or for the sake of myself, for the sake of my family? What is it that encourages me to do what I'm doing or say what I am saying? So sometimes we have conflict between values. And we ought to always try to choose what is morally correct, what's Islamically correct, what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So moral tension is an ethical pressure that arises when different values and duties are in conflict. So Islam sees every human being not only as a physical being and spiritual, but also as an ethical being. We are responsible, and we are responsible to do what is right, and we are responsible to lift up our spirituality and our morality. Try to always be as perfect as possible. And that's why there's always tension between our desire and what is right, and between our personal interest versus the community interest, public interest, between the appearance of the act and the intention of the act. This tension is going on all the time, and that's why the Rasulullah called it the major jihad. The minor jihad is to fight your enemies in the battlefield. But the major jihad is what we are going through every single day, every single moment, in fact. How many decisions we make every day? From the moment you wake up, set a plan for the day, how to drive your car, and how to interact with your neighbors, and how to interact with your co-workers. We are always making decisions. For the believers, it's more simple. That they do what please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regardless of the consequences. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised an-nafs al-lawwama, the self-criticizing soul. The believer always asks himself, why did I do that? I should have done this, or I should have died the other way. Why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that. Always blaming ourselves for not reaching the level that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be in. Allah, again, does not expect us to be perfect, but expect us to do our best to be perfect. Big difference between the two. And Rasulullah told us, here is a golden rule that you have to carry with you all the time. You don't have to carry books of fiqh or ethics, or to carry with you an imam. No, this is something you can do yourself. If you are in a situation you don't know what to do, or whether this is good or bad, ethical or unethical, apply this rule and it will help you. He said the definition of evil, or wrongdoing, or sin, by definition is what you feel in your heart. The discomfort you feel in your heart. Haka means scratch your heart, something like that. Like, you don't feel comfortable doing it. And you don't want people to see you doing it. If you have these two things, nothing is wrong. You don't have to go to a book of fiqh or make a phone call to an imam to ask him. Be the imam, the mufti of yourself. And it's healthy, I guess. And sometimes people come and ask me, Imam, I have a question, and they keep saying the question, ask the question, and I say, okay, why they're asking that? So when they're done, I say, what do you think? I say, we think it's wrong. So why are you asking me? Maybe we thought maybe you have more knowledge to give us that takes it way out. No, what you said, you are the Muslim of yourself. It's obvious, it's clear, it's unethical, so you don't have to ask anyone about it. However, we also may stress the point that this moral tension should not devolve to possession or to have mental issues. ODC, they call it. What is it?
OCD.
OCD. So this OCD is not the purpose of the moral tension. The idea is not to be sick, to be scared, to be panicked all the time. No. The point is to try yourself to improve yourself. Try to improve yourself the best you can. But never give hope in Allah's mercy, as He said, لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. Allah forgives all sins. If you are sincere in trying to improve yourself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala understands or knows your weakness, and is not going to take it against you. But He looks at your heart and to see whether you are doing your best or not. One of the examples of this moral tension in the Quran is the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him that he must sacrifice his son. And he told his son, listen, Allah ordered me to sacrifice you. That's a huge tension. That's not just a simple tension, it's a huge tension. Sometimes the tension is little, sometimes it's big. Now you have to choose between obeying Allah and between sacrificing your own son with your own hand. That's tough. He and his son, they said, we'll do it. If Allah wants us to do it, they made a choice. And it seems to start with, the choice is not ethical. None of these two is ethical. Disobeying Allah is unethical, and for someone to kill his son is also very unethical. But why do you have to choose between two unethical things? Either disobey Allah and keep your son alive, or kill your son and obey Allah. That's why Allah named this إِنَّ هَذَا لَهُوَ الْبَلَاءُ الْمُبِينُ. إِنَّ هَذَا لَهُوَ الْبَلَاءُ الْمُبِينُ, the greatest bala. Both him and his son He said, let's do it. And the son actually went and put his head on a rock. The father got the knife and he put it, and in this moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intervened and he sent the angel and spoke, you passed it. You made the right choice. In no way, to please Allah, you have to commit a sin. It doesn't work like this, right? But this was a special case. That was a special case. What's closer to this is what we do in Eid al-Adha and what we do when we pay zakat. Because you either lose your money, which is painful, or obey Allah. You have to make a choice. Right? The other example is when Rasulullah, I think of this example all the time, when he went to Taif, because the people of Mecca rejected him, so he was hopeful that the people of Taif, the second largest city in this area, would embrace him, but they also rejected him, ridiculed him, and they stoned him. And then the angel comes to Rasulullah saying, Ya Rasulullah, Allah tells you, if you want, I can make these two mountains collapse on the top of their heads. Now we have the, what we call it, the automatic reaction, revenge. Or give them another chance. He has to make a choice. And he made a choice. He said, no, I don't want this to happen to me. Perhaps in the future, their children and grandchildren will embrace Islam. Ya Allah, forgive them, for they do not know. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Same thing happened with the people of Mecca who, persecuted him and tortured him and kicked him out of Mecca, tried to kill him many times, fought against him, killed many of his family members and companions. What did he do when he came back to Mecca? Having the upper hand. He was able to take revenge. Had he, sallallahu alayhi wa killed all these people who gave him so much hard time, nobody would have blamed him. They are in the state of war already, right? So in the state of war, killing is permissible. But he, sallallahu came with unstoppable power, and he asked the people of Mecca, what do you think I'll do to you? They said, we think you're a gentleman, nice man, son of nice people. Okay, you are all free. Now, you have the value of justice and the value of mercy. Again, which one should apply? Right. He chose mercy. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. Punishment of wrongdoing is a wrongdoing. Someone attacks you, defend yourself, attack him. If someone spread lies about you, say the truth. If someone fought you, fought them back. If someone wronged you, you can also apply justice. But our Quran says justice is one level, but a little higher level is forgiveness. Especially when you are able to take revenge. You can do that. But you know what? I would choose mercy. I would choose forgiveness. So Allah said that if you seek justice, nobody will blame you. If you can suppress this feeling of vengeance, which is not easy by the way, seeking Allah's reward, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that your ajr will be with Allah, will be much greater than satisfying your revenge. You want justice? You have every right to get it. If you seek Allah's reward and let go, the reward will be great. So Islam encourages us to protect ourselves, not accept humiliation, but he also encourages us to go to a higher moral grounds by asking us or inviting us to think of forgiveness and mercy. We all know the story of the man who came and urinated in mosque. Imagine the Prophet, the Sahaba, and this Bedouin guy. He does what he does all the time, right? Because he lives in the desert anyway, so the masjid for him does not make any difference. So he needed to relieve himself, so he stood up and he urinated in the masjid. And people start jumping and screaming at him. So Rasulullah told him, he started the mess already. Let him finish it. The damage has done, but let him finish. And when he's done, get like buckets of water and pour it on the top of it, and that will clean it. Because it was sand anyways, right? And if you pour clean, pure water on it, and then when the man was done, he did that and he called him. So I said, brother, this place is not meant to be used like this. This is a place of worship, to be clean all the time. And the man got the point. It's a win-win-win situation, right? The Sahaba did not hurt the man, and the man did not leave Islam and hate Islam. And the Prophet put his point clear, and the damage was fixed. Alas. There are so many examples in the Quran, in the Sunnah of the Prophet and the Sahaba al-Kiram, one of which very quickly is Umar al-Khattab. He did not punish thieves during the time of famine. Thieves who stole to eat, to feed their children. They stole food to eat. Have you read the novel, which has been a movie, The Miserable? The Miserable? The story of the guy who had his parents died and he is the oldest son and he takes care of his younger kids, and he went to steal a loaf of bread to feed his younger kids, and he was caught and he was thrown in prison for quite some time. Very famous novel. Umar said no, in the time of famine, if someone stole food to eat and to feed his children, should not be punished. So now we have two values: justice, punishment, or forgiveness, understanding the circumstances of stealing in this situation. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us preserve our morality and make the right decision that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله اتقوا الله وأطيعوه إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنا نسألك رزقا طيبا وعملا متقبلا. اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا، وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا، وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا. اللهم اجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير، واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث، أصلح لنا يا ربنا شأننا كله. اللهم لا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين ولا إلى أحد من الناس يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين، اللهم انصر دينك وكتابك وعبادك الصالحين. اللهم انصر من نصر دينك واجعلنا منهم، واخذل من خذل دينك ولا تجعلنا منهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم وحد كلمة المسلمين وارفع راية المسلمين وأعز الإسلام والمسلمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.